Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode here at Sobriety University. On this channel, we talk about addiction and recovery related topics. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about 4 benefits of quitting video games. My name is Joel, and before we begin, like, comment, subscribe. Really helps out the channel. So video games, man, that was probably one of my first addictions. I used to play all the time growing up. It was the first probably experience I had numbing out to reality. I loved it. It was so great to just be able to sit down after a painful day of school, not fitting in, having something traumatic happen or a tumultuous home life, and just being able to escape the world I was living in reality, and go into this dream world where I was in control. I had friends. I could succeed. There were shiny objects everywhere. No one was mean to me. No one was yelling at me. And this is what made video games so attractive, is that I could constantly just escape the pain I was in. And I think that is what is a huge draw to video games, is it's just such that escape. And I mean, nowadays, the technology that has come out, it's basically just like an ultimate fantasy world. I've never done the VR thing. However, I'm sure if I had that, quitting video games would have been a lot harder. So I definitely empathize if you are out there dealing with that. Before we dive in any further, I just want to let you know that I have started one-on-one sobriety coaching. Feel free to apply down below if quitting addiction is something that you want to do. And I'd be happy to help you get to your first 30 days, because it takes 30 days to get to a new habit. And together we can help map out a trajectory for you to overcome your addiction struggles. So continuing on with video games, diving right in, the first benefit that comes from quitting video games is you get your life back. And that's what I experienced firsthand. The amount of days, the hours I wasted just sitting in front of that TV or sitting in front of my Game Boy. That was my first video game console, was a Game Boy Advance. Got it on Christmas. And I'm sure my folks were really happy, because they're like, wow, now he doesn't got to bug us with all this with himself anymore. And again, this is what another draw to video games is, that I felt safe. I felt comfortable, and I felt like I didn't have to worry about misbehaving or doing something to offend anyone, because it was my own little world. And so essentially what happens though is, as time goes on, and I'm sure many of you have experienced this, comment down below if you have, well, it's not as fun anymore to play video games and just watch life go by. Personally, I've gotten older. I have different passions and desires, including relationships, including career, including being able to be financially free. And video games were a real hindrance on all those goals and dreams. So about 4 years ago, I decided to get a Nintendo Switch. I was in school at the time, and I got the Switch from Target. I got Zelda Breath of the Wild, amazing game. And for about 4 or 5 nights in a row, I was up till 5:30 in the morning, just gaming. Couldn't go to sleep. Well, I could go to sleep. I had no desire to. And then I had to get up and go to school the next day. And I'm like, I just knew, like, if I were to continue this, I was not gonna pass these classes. My life was basically just gonna disintegrate in front of this little rectangle. So I returned it. Target gave me my money back, thank goodness. And and I haven't bought any video games since. So that was my last time experienced the video game craze, I guess. And what happened then is, as soon as I returned it, my life came back. I was able to, again, it's like almost like the veil was lifted. And suddenly I was back into working, I was back into going to the gym, I was back into making money, and it was just like, okay, I finally feel like I'm back to being who I'm supposed to be, not this zombie in front of a television screen. So the second thing that comes from quitting video games is going to be a dopamine reset. Now, this is probably the most talked about thing when it comes to video games, from what I've learned and what I've seen in mainstream media, is just the dopamine hits that get taken from constant video game use. It's like this massive spike of elation, there's excitement, there's joy, because all that dopamine is just getting jacked up. And then, of course, as many of you have probably experienced, there's a crash. And it's like that depression comes, especially after like a long session. It's like, I remember just getting up from the TV, just walking, like feeling like a zombie basically, just like, oh, what am I doing with my life? And that cycle just continued over and over. Now, that numbing, it allowed me to forget about outside life, problems, relationships, etc. So that's what was so nice about it. Again, however, at one point I'm like, I kind of want to experience these things again, and maybe for the first time. And to do so, I know I'm going to have to take some drastic action here. So Motivation comes back with this too. All of a sudden going to the gym seems more appealing. Going out and meeting people, going to work, building a career, doing hobbies, passions, activities that don't involve sitting in front of a screen. All of this stuff returns from having that dopamine levels balance out. And it's just so nice to live life. And when I'm not sedated by the video games, I'm able to actually live my own life. I'm actually able to have my own video game experience where I can go out, I can level up in like relationships and work. And it's just, there's obviously much more reward because it's like real life. There's not these like shiny little flashy objects that steal your attention, boost the dopamine real quick, and then crash it down and then make you want another hit. It's basically at high, and obviously like phone apps are a great example of this. These companies spend so much time figuring out exactly how to trigger the human mind to get them to coming back and wanting more. It's a fantastic business strategy. I mean, I'll give them that. Like, it definitely works, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. However, it's sneaky, and it's once I realized it, that was my red pill awakening, where I was like, oh, okay, it's just all a game. It's just all a game, in a sense. It's just, what game do I want to play? The real one, or the shiny one that costs money and is kind of life-sucking? So, speaking of money, that's going to lead me to number 3. The third benefit of quitting video games is get more money. I don't know about you, but I found video games to be quite expensive. Sometimes it would take a couple weeks growing up, a couple months to save up for a certain game. Now that I'm older, it's like, okay, I can drop $60. It's not a huge deal, but it adds up. The console adds up, controllers add up. Obviously, now there's in-app purchases. A friend and I were talking recently, and he was sharing how he plays NBA 2K. And you can buy player cards. you open a pack of cards within the game, and then you can unlock characters. What a cash grab, man. Like, when he said when you open it and you get the cards come out, it's just all these lights flash and this like applause. It was like you just did something really good for yourself. When in reality, obviously, we know we just wasted money for an avatar in a video game. Like, it's so crazy just saying it out loud. And yet it's so addicting and appealing. The amount of money I spent on games like Candy Crush, I'm not even gonna go there. It's embarrassing. And so that was a huge benefit I experienced from quitting video games, is I had money to actually focus on other things, paying bills, being responsible, buying food. I started to just allocate that towards other areas that I actually really cared about deep down. And now I have more money, thankfully, because of it. So that's number 3. Number 4, and this is a bit of a culmination of everything we've talked about today, is you get to mature, you get to grow up. Now, this might not be what some people want to hear. I know personally it was very hard to kind of step into that next phase of life. I wanted to be a kid forever. I wanted to remember all the good times, be young, not have responsibilities. And the more I kept trying to do that, the more life kind of kept becoming dysfunctional, because just as human beings, we're meant to grow and evolve. It's just our nature. And when we're not doing that, that's often where that disconnect, that depression, the anxiety, that pain, that fear all come into play, because it's like that our higher self, our inner self, whatever you want to call it, is kind of like, dude, like, wake up, like, it's time to get going. And I know video games definitely was a block on that. And so I get to grow up, get to mature, get to have relationships, get to date, do all this awesome stuff that honestly requires time. And as you know, video games take time. I know the amount of times I've sat down and said, okay, I'm gonna play for an hour, right? Maybe even pushing it an hour. I'll play for half an hour. Just get a quick little game in or something. 3-4 hours later, I'm like, what just happened? And obviously, by that point, it's late at night. I have no motivation to do actually anything else. So all there is to do is like smoke weed, go to bed. Or when I wasn't smoking, just play more video games. So it created like this negative just spiral. And once I put the video games down, I was able to finally start maturing into who I am today, which involved going out, getting a job, I had a job, but actually putting focus into it, working on career stuff, all of that, building relationships. I'm just so thankful that I put the video games down, because today's video game, the real video game of life, is way better than the digital pixels on the screen. So guys, please feel free to comment down below what your experience with video games is. If you are trying to quit, if you have quit, or if you're struggling to quit, would love to know and kind of talk about it, get a conversation going. Again, one-on-one sobriety coaching is now available. Feel free to apply down below if that's something you're interested. We'd work together personally to kind of set some goals for you and get you through their first 30 days. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and talk to you in the next one. Peace.